Hi folks, welcome back to Stacey Can. Today I'm dehydrating strawberries, and I love dehydrated berries. They're great for, just eat them alone. You can put them in with like your favorite trail mix or on top of, your favorite cereals or yogurts, those types of things, or you just eat them straight, which that's normally what happens in our house. They don't end up being a topping for anything. They just get eaten by the handfuls until they're gone. But you do you on however you want to enjoy your berries. Now the types of, because these are considered, like a soft flesh berry, they are not like a huckleberry or blueberry. Those have, or cranberry. Those have really hard skins. They're pretty tough. So you have to actually blanch those to score the skin, or you have to poke them with a toothpick. And it's a little labor intensive, but if that's what you love to do, then do it. With the strawberries, blackberries, raspberries, those types of things, they're soft. The only thing you have to do is just, with strawberries, is just basically cut them in half or slice them if they're really big, and take the tops off. After that, and then also you don't need to pre-treat these particular with the berries. You don't need to pre-treat like you do, say, an apple or something when you slice those, or with pears, because when you slice them they can turn brown pretty quickly. So you normally pre-treat those with ascorbic acid or citric acid as well. And so you don't need to do that with berries. So there's the strawberries. They're super simple to do. So strawberries, raspberries, blackberries, they're all kind of the same in that category. So the ingredients that you need are just, strawberries. This is a 4-tray dehydrator, and I got a half a flat. This was basically all that's left, because I did do this a little earlier. But this is all we had left from a half a flat. So it depends on how big the berries are, etc. But a half a flat will fill up like a 4-tray round dehydrator like this, approximately. If you want to get extras to snack on, great. It's up to you. So you just need your berries. And then the tools that you do need a colander. I have this nice big kind of flat bottomed colander, which I love. I use it for berry picking as well when we make blackberry jams and such, because it's nice and flat. And then it also has the perforation. So because when you're stacking berries on top of each other in like a basic round colander, they can get smushed. So this just keeps the shape a little bit better, and then you can clean the berries a little more individually, but any colander will work. So use whatever you've got. You need some knives, because we will be cutting off the tops here and then slicing them in half. And then you need a container to store it in when it's done. And I have these containers that I use that I got at an antique store, and we put our dehydrated foods in this. Or you can just use a jar. Whatever container, it just needs to be clean. It can be a plastic container. It just needs to be a clean container. And you'll also need, for additional tools, is obviously your dehydrator. And these are silicone mats that I have from my dehydrator. And this is what they look like. They're fantastic. They're great because they kind of contain everything, and when it doesn't drip down below, and it's a little bit easier to peel off of. They don't stick as much, because some of the rats have like little slats in them or whatever. So, but it varies dehydrator to dehydrator. The other thing, if you don't have these little silicone mat trays, then you can use wax paper, and that or parchment paper. That works really well in there to peel it off. So with all of that, let's go ahead and get started. One thing I forgot to mention, and this is optional, is you can use olive oil or vegetable spray or whatever cooking spray you have to cover the trays that you're putting the berries on, and so they don't stick. First thing we do is we go ahead and clean the berries. And I just slice the top off and then slice the berries in half. Now some of these berries are a little bit bigger, so maybe you want to cut it in thirds, like so. You can do that, because you are wanting to try to get it in a uniform thickness if possible, but sometimes it's easier said than done, so just do your best. Now that we're all sliced up here, you want to make sure to set the berries a little bit apart, not too far apart. And we're just slicing these in half. If you end up slicing some in a third, because it's a really big berry, you can, that's fine how you do that. But you do want to dry them skin side down and not up like this. They're gonna flatten. You're gonna have a better looking berry when you're done. And then also, you don't want them too close together because look, they're gonna a little flopsy mopsy. So you want to give them a little bit of space in between so that they don't, as they dry, they don't overlap. And you just need to make sure that you have enough space in between so they don't, so they get enough airflow in between and dry evenly. This is a little bit different than some of the, like the, zucchini and such that I've dehydrated, where I do have a tendency to kind of push them a little closer together because they shrink up so quickly. But with berries, I would give them their space. Now that I have all the berries in the trays and stacked together, ready to go, we're going to turn it on and then we'll dehydrate for 16 to 24 hours. It really depends on the thickness of the berries. If you do thinner slices, that's going to be, I would check it around 12 hours because that could take a little less time. And also it's going to depend on the water content of the berries too. So depending on the thickness, because I'm doing halves, it's going to be more 16 to 24 hours, but slices, obviously it'll be a little bit less. I would check after 8 to 10 hours. And now we are done. This took about 18 hours for me, 18 to 20. I didn't count it real good. It did not do a full 24, that's for sure. And you can notice that some of these, and this is how it looks. You see all the juiciness of the berries. These are really juicy berries. But I've noticed that the berries that were, my daughter, bless her heart, helped me a lot with this, thank goodness. And the berries that were skin side up, I don't think they and look at that, they've got some of the juice that's still stuck to them, but they're good. But the berries that had the skin side up, they just look a little bit better in my opinion. They do have that little bit of juiciness around them, but I also let them set in the tray a little bit longer than they should have. We just had an incredibly busy week with, my dad had a few little health issues, so this got forgotten a little bit. My dad's fine, totally fine, but this all got interrupted a little bit, but welcome to life, things happen. So when you're done, you just go ahead and just throw them in your container, peel them off and throw them in your container. You might be wondering when you know that these are done. How you know they're done is if you pick one of the berries up and you kind of can bend it a little bit. You don't really want them crisp unless you want them, and that's your preference. If that's the case, then you got to dehydrate them longer and they're to be crispy. But you want them to be kind of leathery and pliable where you can bend them. If especially some of the halves, how you can tell if it needs just a little more time. If it still feels spongy and smushy and it feels like there might be a little bit of water content in it, then they need to go a little bit longer. If you open it up after 16 hours and you notice that some are done, you can take those out and just and put them in your container and let the other ones that might be a little bit bigger and need a little more time to dehydrate, just let them go another couple hours and test then. Now I haven't emptied all of the trays. This is just one of the trays here. So what I'm going to do is just kind of show you how to, because it's going to take me a minute, so I just did one tray. But I want to talk a little bit about conditioning. And conditioning is when, after you've dehydrated your fruits or vegetables, you want to put them in your container, you're going to want to give them a shake about every day. And the reason for this is not all of the fruits or vegetables dehydrate equally. It's difficult to make sure that they're all done. And I had to do that with the onion powder quite a bit. Not all of the pieces were completely as dehydrated as I wanted them to be, and so they had just a little bit more water content in them. So the conditioning just helps to make sure to just give it some shakes, kind of works that stuff around. Those pieces that are drier than others will help absorb that extra moisture, and then you won't have, you'll have less issues with your product getting moldy. So keep that in mind as you are storing and such. These don't last that long, so I'm not normally too worried about molding. My kids plow through it. This will probably be gone in a week because they're vultures, lovely vultures, but vultures nonetheless. And which is good. They get to eat something really delicious and etc. So this is how you dehydrate strawberries or any kind of a softer skin berry. Again, not including your huckleberries or your blueberries for that matter. That's how you do it. Pretty simple. So the recipe is down below, and while you're down there, please like and subscribe because that does help. And please share as well. And if you have any questions, comments, suggestions, feedback, concerns, by all means, please reach out to me. I'm on Facebook at Stacey Can. You can @ me on Instagram and TikTok at Stacey Can. My website is www.staceycancan.com, and my email is info@staceycancan.com. You can also reach me on LinkedIn at Stacey Can. So thanks so much for joining me today, and until next time, happy canning.